Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. Thanks for being with us here today. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad to be able to spend some time with you again today as we're here on the radio talking about you and how you can thrive in your life and in your business. Today we want to talk about teaching what you know. It may be something that you went to school for, that you run a business for, that you do every day of your life. It may also be something that you went through that now you need to share with the world in order to make the difference that only you can make. Either way, there are things that you've been through, things that you've learned, things that you know that you need to teach. Today is our day to be encouraged to teach what we know here on Thriving Entrepreneur. I hope today finds you blessed, amazingly beyond all recognition. I'm so grateful to have you here today. I love spending time with you. I want you to know just how wonderfully, powerfully special you are. I don't think you hear it enough. I really don't. And I think that you really should be told more often just how amazing you are. I think that the world would be a better place if you really knew how great you were, and then you took that burning desire inside of you. Because I know there's those things that keep you up at night. And no, I'm not talking about the bills, but that mission, that passion within you that keeps you awake at night. It propels you to work late nights, to work on weekends, to have your laptop on your lap while the family is watching TV and be working on your mission, your business, that thing you do in the world. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe it's a company that you've started and you're really going gangbusters with it. Or maybe it was totally on accident. You just shared with somebody and then they shared with somebody and it's kind of overtaken you. Maybe it's a message deep down inside of you that you know you're supposed to share, but you haven't yet. Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's ready, waiting for you. It's ready to explode out from within you. And now is the time. Now is the time to teach what you know, to be exactly who you are, to show up in the world as the one and only you, because that's all that we need. The world just needs you. Nothing more, nothing less, just the best you that you can be today. You've learned some things since even yesterday, let alone last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago. You look back on your life now and you see the things that you're accomplishing that didn't even seem possible. I was expressing to somebody the other day, we were talking about money and about how relative something being expensive is. And I remember expressing, we were actually talking about the cost of a domain name. Back in the day, way back, we're talking like 96-ish. A domain name was probably going to cost you about $120 a year. Now, for most of us, we're like, okay, $120 a year, that's not too bad. I mean, it's not the $8 or $9 or $10 or $15 or the $1.99 that you get it for the first year that we can get now. But okay, $120 a year. But then as I was expressing it, I was like, back then, I was a single parent of 5 kids. I was so blessed that the state came in and paid for a nanny to take care of the kids during the day so I could work a job. I will never be able to express the amount of gratitude that I had for that. But at that time, the concept of spending $120 on a domain name, even more so on a domain name that I didn't have a plan for, or that I didn't know how I could make money off of it immediately, that just wasn't even a part of my world at that point. It couldn't be. Now I look back at it and I'm like, oh gosh, I wish some of those domain names that I knew I could have gotten, I would have had back then. I heard about a guy who registered, I think it was liquor.com, and now got like $10 million just for the name. No website, just the name. That's how things change. The reason why I bring that up, and you're like, what does that have to do with this particular message? And it really has to do with maximizing today. Not going back and trying to fix yesterday. I didn't have the money back then. That's just the way it was. That's okay. I am where I am now today. And I feel blessed with every single thing that I'm able to do. I feel blessed that domain names are not $120 a year now, so that when I need one, I can get one. And I love teaching you all that I know, sharing it as freely as I can, even more so bringing the amazing international best-selling authors like my guests today to you, to be able to really share with you, for them the ability to be able to teach to you what they know. You see, that's what life is. It's about teaching one another. You know the old phrase, each one teach one? I mean, imagine if, think about it for a second. Think about a world where we were focused on doing what we knew how to do and maximizing today for all that it could be by simply teaching, sharing, expressing to the people around us the things that we know, letting the people around us know how much we care and how important and special they are in our lives, and letting the people that we're meant to serve, being there for them, to teach them, to help them, to train them with the things that we know now. 5 years from now, you'll be a different person. You'll know more, you'll know differently. You may even look back at what you taught today, and you may even scoff and be like, oh gosh, I can't believe I was teaching people that. It's so wrong, or I've learned so much more. That's okay. That doesn't diminish today any more than that helicopter that you're hearing flying by diminishes the power of our time together. It's just life. It's where we are, what's happening right now today. And that's good. That is very good. To just simply be who you are today. To teach what you know while it's called today. And then, you'll be listening to this 5 years from now because it's evergreen. And I'd love for you to come back and listen to old episodes. You should do that now. The show's been around for a while now. And you'll be listening to the old episode and you'll be like, wow, I remember when I started teaching. I remember Steve encouraging me to do that. And that day I started teaching. Oh, talk about an amazingly wonderful testimony that I would love to hear. I would love to know that my words reached you. Yeah, specifically you. And that from these wonderful guests that I brought to you, you were encouraged. You thought of the thing that you do at work, the thing that your company does, that you can teach people and help accelerate what they're doing, or that thing you went through, and now you know something that you didn't know before you had to go through it. And because of that, you found yourself really contemplating about life, about what's going on, and it up-leveled you. And now is your opportunity to be able to share that with the people around you, with every person that you come in contact with, to take that trauma you went through and to be able to help others that are now maybe going through it, and help the people around them that don't understand, to help and teach them. I went through that. I know where you've been. I've been there before. Here's what I learned. Not as some kind of sales technique. I can tell you that the know, like, and trust factor is the primary element of creating a relationship with somebody that you're going to sell to. That the feel, felt, found is one of the most powerful ways to overcome an objection in a sales call. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about simply just being the powerful person you are and helping the person next to you to show up as their best in the world today too. I can't think of any way that would be better than that, to live as a thriving entrepreneur. Let's take a quick commercial break and then we'll be right back on Thriving Entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call, yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven, it's guaranteed, it's gonna happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. So let's dive right into it. Let's get together with some international best-selling authors and learn from them as they share with us what they teach, their books, the things that they do in this world that propelled them to now being an international bestseller. First off, we want to talk about that business that you have, that thing you do in the world on a daily basis as your way of earning income, and how can you teach somebody to be able to show up better as themselves in the world by teaching them that skill that you have that helps them live their life better and to really truly thrive. Join me in welcoming Mike Sudermann. Hey Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. Hope you are.
I'm doing good, thanks. So tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
How do I show up in the world? Well, a little bit about me. I am an executive search consultant and career strategist. So I spend my days helping companies hire top-tier talent to join their organizations. And I also consult with professionals on career strategy. So that is the bulk of my working day, if you will. So that's keeps me going.
Absolutely. And your new international best-selling book, The Executive Leap, this is actually the second edition for it, but I know you poured a lot of effort, energy, time, and reflection into really getting out there the book that people are looking for, whether they're executives or brand new, to really help them make that leap. Tell us a little bit about the book and what your intentions for it were.
Yeah, great question, and happy to provide that information. The book was written with the sole purpose of being a field guide for professionals wanting to leap into either a bigger and better position with their existing organization, or leap into a larger role with another company outside of their current organization, or maybe they are in transition and they are faced with having to find a new position. So regardless of what status or level they are in their career, they have this field guide to help them navigate the challenges of trying to find a new position. You know, Steve, an interesting thing recently when I was in the rewriting of the second edition, just out of curiosity, I went and I Googled 4 or 5 main topics. I Googled resumes, interview strategies, LinkedIn strategies or LinkedIn optimization. I Googled negotiating job offers, and then I Googled job search strategies. And those are 5 categories. Out of those 5 categories, in a matter of, if I added them all up, the results were over 4 billion hits. And then I added up how long those 4 billion hits took to appear on my computer, and it was literally, less than 10 seconds. So when somebody is going to look for a new position and they want help with resumes, they're going to get 1 billion hits. If they're going to look for interview strategies, it might be maybe 800 or 900 million hits, which, quite frankly, any more than 10 or 20 or 100 is overwhelming. But when you're getting millions or hundreds of millions or billions of hits, it's very difficult to know what is worth looking at. Is it relevant? If I have to pay for it, am I going to get a return on my investment of that cost? Is it any good? You don't know what you're getting. So one of the benefits of my book, being a field guide and covering all of those topics and additional information, is you can go straight to the point. It takes my executive search insider secrets of 14 plus years in the business, having reviewed, tens of thousands of resumes and worked with tens of thousands of professionals and hiring managers, takes all those experiences and, again, boils it all down into this book so people can utilize that information to, carve out or rebuild resumes, doing whatever they need to do in their endeavor to land a new position. So, again, I wrote the book with the intentions of being able to help people at all levels or all stages of his or her career and make it easier for them to know exactly what to do to get started immediately and be able to move that process along.
So when it comes to, getting a job, submitting your resume, really getting, a good job versus, whatever.
Right.
Well, I hesitate to say any job because then I'll offend somebody, but,
Right.
But, when it comes to getting what a good job for you is, what is like maybe the key thing that a person really needs to know?
Yeah. So what people need to realize is that even though LinkedIn is very popular for professionals, it is not how companies make hiring decisions there, or even decisions to bring people in for interviews. They're still looking at a resume on a piece of paper. And I have this saying that companies or people hire people, not paper, but they still want a resume. They want to look at something, even if it's online. They still want to see it. So it's critically important that you design your resume so that it speaks on your behalf and compels or conveys the reader to read the entire resume, but more importantly, you've created it in such a way that it compels the reader to want to pick up the phone or send you an email and say, hey, Steve, I like everything you have on your resume, but I've, have some questions. I'd like to bring you in for an interview. I was reviewing a resume from somebody that they sent it to me just last week. And I said, where'd you get your resume template? She said, oh, I got it online. I said, well, I hadn't seen it yet. I said, send me the resume. It turned out that she had spent about 6 months looking for a new position. She didn't get a single interview. And she was really struggling. And I looked at this resume after she sent it to me, and I could tell that it's just a template she found. It was not well organized, and it was pretty much a mess. And it didn't have I wasn't really excited to read it. It didn't grab my attention at all. And just taking one look at a resume, I knew exactly, because, I've seen probably 80 to 100,000 resumes. So I know what works, what doesn't. But I look at this resume and I'm thinking, I know I could list 10 or 15 things why you're not getting requests for interviews. So the thing that people have to keep in mind is that the resume speaks on your behalf, and you have to design it such that it compels the person reading it to want to pick up the phone or email you and request your time for an interview. And then you go in and you sell yourself and your value to the organization and go from there. So that's a really critical piece. There are lots of different components to the process, but if your resume is terrible, it's going to be a long road to hoe.
That makes total sense. So what would you say, I mean, you kind of pointed out a little bit of it there, but what would you say is the biggest mistake people make in their resumes?
Oh, that's a great question. The biggest mistake that people make is trying to dump everything they can into the resume and do the shotgun approach. And that's what this one resume was doing that I reviewed recently. What's interesting is that, just out of curiosity, and I'm an investigator, right? I make a living at knowing as much as I can about somebody, and I have avenues for doing that, but a real simple one, of course, is go to LinkedIn. So I went to this person's LinkedIn profile just to see if they even had one, and they did. But I noticed that on this gal's LinkedIn profile, she notes that she's bilingual. And on her resume, she dumped everything into 2 or 3 pages of information on there, and had, for some reason, left out the fact that she's bilingual. And just that alone, I reached out to her and I said, even if you don't hire me, you have to put that you're bilingual front and center on your resume, because that could be, that's your differentiator, especially if you go to work for a company that needs that skill set. So most people just dump everything they can think of into it. On the flip side, sometimes people get a hold of these templates that are, very minimal, and they don't have enough information in there. But usually it's just a data dump, and it's way too much, and people don't want to and it's lots and lots of paragraphs. People don't want to read paragraphs. So you got to make it easy for people to learn about you as quickly as possible.
So how long, do you typically suggest that a person keep their resume to just 1 page?
No. So here's the formula. 1 page for every 10 years, not to exceed 3 pages. But there's a caveat to everything, right? And the caveat on the exception of 3 pages is maybe you're a patent attorney, or you've written a dozen books, or you have some inventions under your belt or whatever, and you might need multiple pages to include all that information in there. But For the general population, it's 3 pages. And I've seen, I can remember a resume I saw a number of years ago where this person had 30 years of experience and he jammed everything into 1 page. It was possible, but the font size was literally like 7 point. You almost need a magnifying glass to read the whole resume. He just jammed everything in there. 30-year career on 1 page. I bet you know where that resume went once I got it.
Yeah.
Straight to the trash.
I was going to say, they have a circular file folder just for those.
Yeah, file 13. Yep.
All right. Well, and people need to hire you. We're going to give them an opportunity to be able to do that here in a second. But first, let's be good teachers. Let's give them, tips, something that they could do right now to up-level their resume.
Yeah, this is a concept in my book, and I call it the rule of thirds. So if you take the top sheet or the first page of your resume and you fold it into thirds, like you're going to mail it in a legal envelope, which is a number 10 envelope, that top third is your $1 million real estate. The top third has to have enough information in it that compels the reader to continue reading your resume, or either compels the reader to pick up the phone and say, I've read enough. I need to get this person in for an interview as soon as possible. That's the first piece of information they need to be aware of. That top third is $1 million real estate. The second thing that I think is super important is that not to stack your name and contact information, because you're going to use up that top third very quickly. If your name is Steve Kidd and then you put your mailing address under, the number and the street under your name, and then under there the city and the state and zip code, and then under there your cell number, and under there your LinkedIn, and under there your email, and it just stacks. It's called a stack. You're going to use 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and you are rapidly encroaching on that top third. So what you need to do is make sure that I prefer your first initial last name centered in like 16-point font. And then underneath it, you don't even need to use your address anymore. You put maybe your LinkedIn URL, your email, and your cell phone number in 11 or 12 point. And then you've got another roughly 2 to 2.5 inches where you can list what I suggest are core areas of expertise or core competencies. And you put those either in columns that are centered or in a centered format. So it draws the person in, because they're going to start at the top of your resume and they're going to look at your name and they're going to start working their way down. So you draw them into your core competencies of what the value you bring to an organization. And that should be enough to get them to either continue reading, which is what you want them to do, or potentially pick up the phone and just, because you've hit it out of the ballpark on those core competencies, but it's enough to get that person to read further, or to just pick up the phone and give you a call or email you and request an interview. But it's that first third that is critical. It's rare even in my business, I'm always looking at the top page. Most of us don't go to the second or third page and start there. We're usually going straight to the top and working our way down.
That's good to know. Also makes me glad to know that I'm not out having to have to submit resumes right now.
I'll throw another one in there that's important for people to realize. And that is that depending on the level that you're applying for, if you're applying online, whether it's Career Builder or Monster or Indeed or ZipRecruiter or wherever you're applying, there are different types of job boards for different levels of positions. So if you're an executive with 15 plus years of experience, you have no business applying to positions on Indeed or Monster or ZipRecruiter, for example, because those are just, they cater to everybody, especially Indeed.com. I mean, they cater to people with GEDs or high school education, to part-time up through to about maybe manager level. Occasionally on Indeed, you'll see a position for a VP or a director, but there are some on there, but the problem is that it's really a job board for the masses. If you're looking for a more senior level role, 15 plus years or more worth of experience, it really comes down to networking and connecting, and you might be able to go find something on LinkedIn, might be a better opportunity for you. But with all of that said, Steve, when you apply online, on average, about 4% of all online applications make it through to the other side, in which a company or a hiring manager or HR is picking up the phone and calling that person and asking them to come in and interview. So I don't want to freak people out and think to themselves, wow, 96% of all online applications don't get called for interviews, but it is what it is. So it's super important to build an affiliate army of people to connect with and network with. And, the best jobs are found through connecting with people.
Perfect. Well, for somebody that wants to go deeper with you, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'll just, they can contact me by email at mike@theexecutiveleap.com. And, I'm happy to provide my telephone number. If they want to reach out to me, they can do so directly at 336-404-4610. Now, if they call me, which is fine, I take as many calls during the day as I can, but because of the nature of my business, I'm on the phone all the time. So it would really be super if I receive a phone call and you get my voicemail, leave me a message. Don't forget your telephone number, and let me know how you heard about me.
Well, that's awesome. The book is called The Executive Leap. It's by international best-selling author Mike Sudermann, and you can get it on Amazon today. Mike, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the show here today.
Thanks, Steve. Enjoyed it.
Well, if you need to get a new job, up-level your job, change your resume, your job hunting, there's no better consultant I know of than Mike to help you get through that process. I know there's great people out there, but Mike does such an amazing job for yourself as well as for your company if you're looking to bring people in. So if you need that help is there for you. But his book, The Executive Leap, is also a great way for you to be able to learn by Mike just simply teaching the thing that he does so easily that we're blessed that he doesn't discount it and say, like we often all do, oh, well, that's no big deal. Everybody knows how to do that, don't they? So many powerful insights, so many little things that each of us probably does that make such a big difference if we were to do them just a little differently would help us get that dream job we want. That's the ultimate way of using what we do in this world for our business, for the company we own, to really be able to teach somebody and to show up every day as a thriving entrepreneur. We'll be right back.
If you're an author who's on a mission. Stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. While we talk about teaching what you know, sharing with the people around you, the people in the world, that thing that you've been through, those things you know, what you've learned so that you can help make the world a better place. I know you can. I know you do. And I just really honor and really applaud you for doing that in this world. So next we want to talk about that stuff we've been through. Sometimes it's tough, and sometimes we don't even know if we're going to make it through. But then we come out on the other side, and there is stuff that we've learned, things that others that are going through it, and even the people around them that are watching them go through it, need to know and understand. Even, and especially maybe, the children that are around us that need messages. Whatever it is, whatever the group, we need to teach what we know. And this is another powerful international best-selling author doing that. Join me in welcoming Stephanie Laskoskie. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I love your book. It's so cool. International bestseller, My Baby is a Superhero. Tell us a little bit about the book and how things happened to make you create it.
Yes. So back in 2016, we had twins that were born at 23 weeks gestation. So that's technically under what medical textbooks say is viable. So when our twins were born, they weighed about 1.5 pounds each. They were 11 inches long. They could literally fit in the palm of your hand. Your brain doesn't allow you to picture a baby that small, and even pictures don't really do it justice, but their legs were literally the size of our pinky fingers. Their heads were smaller than a baseball. So just tiny, tiny, tiny. We were told that they would have less than a 50% chance to survive. And as parents of twins, you look at your two babies and you think to yourself, like, you're asking me to pick a child, basically, when your percentages are around 50-50. And so they had a really long medical road ahead of them. They spent 5 months in the NICU. And what we found during that journey was there was a lot of resources for parents, especially NICU moms and mothers of premature babies. But there wasn't a lot of resource for NICU siblings. And we watched how our 3 and our 6-year-old really struggled during those 5 months. They weren't allowed inside of the NICU. They weren't allowed to go see their babies. And so they really struggled with, why are mom and dad going back to the hospital? And why are my babies not at home? And what does the NICU mean? And so that's where this book came from, was to kind of explain the NICU world in a simple way that young siblings can understand, but also to acknowledge that they're going through every step of the journey with you. And they're feeling those highs and those lows with you, and to remind them that they truly are superheroes in this journey as well.
It's such a cute little book. And of course, it's an international bestseller, which it totally deserves to be. Have the kids gotten to see a copy of it yet?
Oh, they have. And what I absolutely love is that they're so proud of their younger brother and sister. So the twins got to come home after 5 months. And it's been a fun experience because I genuinely feel like our older kids have a lot more empathy for kids who have struggles in life and have harder challenges ahead of them. And and I always love, the first day of school or the first show and tell or the first time they get to bring something to school or expose their friends. It's always the book. They always want to take the book and show, look, this is what my mom wrote this book. It's about me. It's about my brother and sister. It's about our family. Their uncle actually did the illustrations. And so it's just been neat to see how proud they are of the story and the book.
I can imagine. I can see them walking around with tablets now, just, like reading the Kindle version over and over and over again.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So, and I mean, it's a really serious story, but you handle it in such a way. What was it like with the little ones? What was maybe the biggest struggle for them to even be able to understand?
I think the biggest struggle was that there was times that we were dealing with harsh realities and emotions that was hard to handle as adults. There were times that we were called up to the hospital to stay the night so that we could hold our twins after they passed away. And that's how poorly they were doing at some times. And that's hard to handle as an adult. And so we had a really hard time articulating to the kids in a way that they could understand. In fact, I remember there was one night I tucked the big kids in bed and I was telling them good night and I was going to go back up to the hospital. And my 6-year-old looked at me and he said, "Are the twins going to have to go be with Jesus?" And I didn't know how to answer that. I mean, I couldn't answer his question and it just absolutely broke my heart. And so the biggest struggle was them having to grow up. And even as much as we tried to shield them and tried to protect them, they were still experiencing really big emotions. And, they walked every step of that journey with us and just trying to communicate it in a way that was easy for them to understand, but also didn't downplay the situation that we were in was the hardest part.
And you said earlier, but tell me again, how old were they at that time?
Our daughter was 3 and our son was 6.
So when you're talking 151 days, which is essentially half a year almost, that's a lot of life in a 3-year-old.
It's eternity. Yes.
They don't understand tomorrow, let alone 150 days.
Yes, I think at some point they started to doubt if these, babies existed, but thankfully there was lots of pictures and FaceTime allowed, so it helped bridge the worlds together.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad that some of the modern technology can make it a little more real.
Absolutely.
If not, I think they'd probably grow up believing that there's a really incredible weight loss program that mom went through.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what is your totally unfair question, I know, but what is your favorite part of the book?
My favorite part of the book is the message to the older siblings that they are heroes. I said it time and time again to people talking about our journey, and it always came back to our older children. They were genuinely the laugh when we needed a distraction. They were the hug that we needed when we didn't know we needed it. They were just our rock. And it's funny to say that because you shouldn't, as an adult, depend on kids to be your rock, but they really were the perfect amount of love and distraction that we needed through that journey. And they truly were heroes to us. They handled it with such grace and such empathy. And so to be able to tell them and all the other siblings that go through similar experiences It's so important for them to know their value in the family and the journey, and they genuinely are heroes.
You've put so much insight for, I mean, hopefully nobody would ever have to go through this, but I know stuff like that happens for people. But if you could go back and talk to yourself before all of this happened, what do you know now that you wish you would have known at the beginning of day one of the 151 days?
That things may not look how you had hoped and dreamed on the day that you found out that you're pregnant, but it's going to be okay. Like, your version of okay is going to change, but you're going to be okay at the end of this. And I can honestly say now that I'm a better version of myself. I wouldn't wish this journey upon anybody, but having gone through it, I'm definitely a better version of myself. I believe our kids are better versions of themselves. Our relationship and our family dynamics are better for having gone through what we did and coming out the other side. So I would want myself to know that it's going to be okay. It's going to be different, but it's going to be okay.
So who do you hope picks up this book?
Somebody that's looking for hope. Somebody that's looking for a way to help their kids who are struggling emotionally, or just having a hard time understanding the balance between the NICU world and the world at home. I truly hope that people find hope and comfort from this book.
I'm not even sure if I know, but have you created any programs yet to deal more directly with people?
Yes. So we have an organization that our family runs that works directly with local hospitals, and we also accept nominations from families across the world, actually, to support NICU siblings. And so we've really connected ourselves with the local NICU managers, the caseworkers, and then we have a platform online for people to nominate families that are going through experience is similar to ours, so that we're able to connect and share our story. And then we find a lot of joy in sending sibling care packages. So we send coloring books and stuffed animals and a copy of our book, card games, that sort of thing, to keep give the siblings something fun to do amongst the chaos.
And if somebody wanted to help with that or participate in that, how could they reach out and contact you?
We have a website and a Facebook page. The organization is called From Small Beginnings. And again, it's a website and a Facebook page. They can send us a message on either platform to reach out to us on how to help or to nominate somebody to receive one of our care packages.
So for anybody that's, hopefully nobody is, but anybody that's going through stuff like this right now, leave us with a little message of hope.
It's really hard because it's so much. It's a huge ball of emotion that comes with a question like that. But you're going to be okay. You're going to be a better version of yourself. And you're going to find ways for the mountain that you're moving now to make a difference for a family that's coming behind you.
The book is called My Baby is a Superhero by international best-selling author Stephanie Laskoskie. Stephanie, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the show here today.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate your time.
What a great use of something that I wish no one would ever have to go through, but we know they do. And then we can take what we've been through out on the other side, and we can share it with others that are now going through it. And we can help them show up powerfully in the world. And maybe we can save them from just a little bit of heartache and pain, or go through it more eloquently, more elegantly. I don't know what it is that you have to teach, But I do know that the little ones, especially in your life, they have lots of questions about some of those traumas that you're going through. And to write a children's book, oh my gosh, I loved this book. It was so much fun. It's so cute too. And to write that book, to be able to help other children going through such a traumatic experience and help their parents be able to express to them as well. This is what we're going through, but it's going to be okay, and we're going to make it to the other end so that they can understand, so that we can connect and come through together. There's nothing better I can think of when it comes to living as a thriving entrepreneur than just that. Here's our last commercial break, and then we'll be right back on Thriving Entrepreneur.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Schedule a talk with Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call, yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven, it's guaranteed, it's gonna happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. You know, when we come to the end of each episode, I always feel like I need to say, what did you learn, Dorothy? It just feels like that moment of the show. I do hope that you took away some really powerful things, both informationally, as well as to incentivize you to be the best you can be, to share you with the world, to teach what you know. It's so important that each of us just simply take on and I don't even want to call it responsibility, the privilege of being able to share, to pass on what we know right now where we are here today. A few years back now, actually, it's been, probably 3 years ago now, my granddaughter Tia put out a book, and it was about her meeting her best friend. You know, because at the 8 or 9 years old that she was at that time, I'm sorry, Tia, if you were older than that, you know, at that age, that's what she knew, was this is what it took in my life to meet somebody that, even though I've moved and I don't live next door to her anymore, she's still my very best friend. You see, even at that young age, there are things that children can teach us. In My Baby's a Superhero, there are some parts in there where there's as much that the parents learned from the little children that were going through it as they did themselves, and being able to help them and encourage them helped them get through it as well. You see, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, you have something so valuable, so needed, so necessary in this world. And so often we discount what we do because we do it so easy. It's so easy for us that we're like, everybody can do that. That's no big deal, really, right? I mean, anybody can do the dishes. Anybody can clean house. Whatever the thing may be, everybody's good at raising children after all, aren't they? And yet the truth of the matter is the very thing that you do with such grace and such ease, that if I told you that was what you were great at, you'd tell me, no big deal, everybody does that. Or, there's a million books on that. Nobody would want to hear what I have to say. That is exactly often the thing you really should be talking about. Because the truth of the matter is that it's not the huge life-altering cure for cancer kind of things that we come up with that really make the world a better place. It's the minute-by-minute, moment-by-moment times that really make the difference. I always remember, with the international ministry he had with meeting with queens and kings and princes all over the world, Billy Graham would be the very first one to tell you that the most influential person in the entirety of his life was his mom. Now, I think her name was Rose, but don't even quote me on that. That's just the name that, when I was thinking just now, popped into my head that I think that's what her name was. But I could be wrong. You see, we don't really know who Mrs. Graham was. And yet, she was so powerful. She helped raise a young man that radically changed the world, and the world still knows about to this day. Oprah always talks about her second grade teacher and how, had she not been in her life, she would have never been the person that she became. Was it not for that teacher? You see, it's those kind of things that we discount so easily. We're like, that's not a big deal. That are really the biggest things. You never know whose life you're impacting. And that's why it's so important to just simply teach what you know. This is what I know for sure today. This is who I am today. It'll change. It'll morph into more and better and different, and that's okay. The key is to be the best version of ourselves today. Because you are uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose. And the world does need you. I want you to know you're not alone. There is a methodology, there is a plan, there is a purpose for your life, and there is systems in place to help you be able to share you with the world. Talking about teaching what you know, that's what I do. I know how to make people get their words out, to craft their message, to really have clarity in who they are and what they say and what their people need, and to make that book a bestseller. I love doing it. I love being who I am. And I would love helping you out with it as well, because I want to see you thrive. That's what this show is all about, is helping you live a thriving life as a thriving entrepreneur each and every day, so that you can teach what you know, be the best version of yourself while it's called today, and you can thrive. I hope that you are happy, safe, warm, and loved. And until next time, you have a great week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
If you're an author who's on a mission, stand out with your brand out. Check this out, guys. Yep, everything's marketing, and marketing is everything. Your existing book can become a best-selling book, or even, hey, like mine, a #1 international best-selling book in 5 days. Listen, if your business isn't known by everybody, it's obscurity, and that's death, right? The same thing is true for your book. If you're not happy with the way your book is performing, you got that far and then it just fell off the face of the planet kind of feeling, go to yourbestsellertoday.com, schedule a talk with Steve, Steve. It's risk-free, it's guaranteed, it's proven. We've done it thousands of times. What are you waiting for? Yes, yourbestsellertoday.com. This time next week, you could have a beautiful seal on your book and get the attention that you deserve. Reach the people that you came to serve. Come on now. What are you waiting for? Grab a pen. Here we go. All you got to do is book a call. Yourbestsellertoday.com. Go to yourbestsellertoday.com. Book a talk with Steve. It's proven. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. All you have to do is say yes to your destiny.